Got it. And there we are on that. Record here. Hello there, and welcome to the Hawk Fanatic Prospect Podcast here on hawkfanatic.com. I am your host, Rob Howell. It is Wednesday, March the 29th, 2023, about 3:30 p.m. Central Time. I am happy to be joined today by Zach Lutmer from, I said your name, right? From Central Lion?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's right.
It's sometimes I worry with names, but yours is pretty straightforward, so I can appreciate that.
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
So just generally, how are things going? I know it was a busy fall and winter for you in winning a couple state championships, which we'll talk about. How have things kind of transpired since then? Have you had a chance to exhale at all?
Well, yeah, I'm starting to rest a little bit. I was planning on doing track. That's still the plan, but right now I've kind of got a bummed up toe. So I'm kind of letting that heal a little bit. I've been in a boot the past 2.5 weeks, so letting it heal a little bit. I have a doctor's appointment coming up in 2 weeks, and I think that's when the boot will come off, and I'll start getting going again. But just kind of relaxing after pretty much going for, I don't know what, 6 months straight, something like that. So yeah, exhaling a little bit.
So did you suffer the injury in basketball, football, training? How did it happen?
It kind of started probably early on basketball season. I kind of had like a sprained ankle a little bit right after football. Well, it was during football, and I just kept playing. And then I sat out like a week of basketball, and then came back. Probably a little too soon, but had to get going because I knew we had a chance to win. So let that go. Got that going, and then I think probably the first or second week I came back, I hurt my toe, and it was kind of just pretty much just overuse on it, not giving it enough rest. So
You feel kind of you'll be able to hit the ground running when you get back into track?
yeah, I feel like the toe is pretty much healing by itself. Rest is the biggest thing. But yeah, I'll kind of slowly work into it and gradually work up. But that's, yeah.
Yep, you got time. I was wondering which state championship, basketball or football, were you most surprised you guys won?
I'd probably have to say basketball, just because I knew that we'd be good, but I didn't know that we would have enough depth to what we had to win the state title. I knew that we had a chance to get there and do all that sort of stuff, but to win is pretty impressive. Well, we only played 6 guys, so the depth we didn't really have, but we played with what we had, and everyone pretty much played the whole game. So yeah, that was probably the most I was surprised. I knew football we would have a pretty good shot if everyone stayed healthy. We had a few injuries here and there, but for the most part, basketball for sure.
How many guys were on football that also were on basketball? Roughly.
So out of our starting lineup, we had 4 starters, and then came off the bench. He played a little bit, not too much, but so probably 5 the guys that played. Pretty much our whole team besides a few guys. So
Do you think it helped that experience in football, in basketball, having been, through a grind of winning a state championship? I know different sports, but it's a mindset, it's preparation, things like that are similar.
yeah, it definitely helped. Obviously we stayed in a hotel for like a week because our girls made it down there. So we were down there for a week straight, but I think everyone handled it well. Obviously making it the year before in basketball helps as well, but this year in football, mindset of winning is totally different. To win, you have to always be prepared for certain things, and because things aren't going to go your way sometimes, so you just got to be prepared for everything.
Well, some football stats for Zach. Played quarterback, completed 67% of his passes, 18.1 yards per completion, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception, rushed for 1,562 yards and 22 touchdowns. Looks like your friend Reese Vanderzee, who got an offer recently from Iowa, was one of your favorite targets going deep.
Yeah.
You trying to encourage him to follow you to Iowa City?
Yeah, I'm definitely been in his ear for a long time. I knew that Iowa would eventually come in and offer him because that's just how good he is, just the prospect and what he brings to the table. But at the end of the day, I just got to let him do what's best for him, obviously. But yeah, I'm definitely in his ear a lot.
What type of athlete is he?
Well, he's super athletic, obviously. I throw it up to him. He's like 6'5", so I throw it up to him and he just goes and gets it. I think he's got like a 37-inch vertical, so
Wow.
that's going to help him right there too. So I just throw it up there. It's same thing in basketball. I would be running down the court and just throw it deep to him, throw it up, and he'd go get it and score. So yeah.
From a football standpoint, you played both ways, got a feel for different positions when you were in high school. What is the transition, do you feel like, or what are you expecting the transition to be like from high school to college football when you can focus on one spot?
I think it'll be a really good transition for me to focus on one sport is probably the biggest thing. Focus on one sport and one spot is going to be key. I think once if you're a four-sport athlete and once you start focusing on one sport, you really start to gain progress and you really see that throughout the first year. Towards the spring usually is when they start seeing all that progress hit. But yeah, focusing in on one sport will probably be the biggest thing.
Yeah, no doubt. And, a lot of the Brody Breck news recently about him
Yeah.
deciding to focus on baseball. I think as cool as it is to play two sports in college, if you can really focus on one, it's just kind of the setup now. It's like a year-round thing, right? It's a year-round commitment to each sport.
Mm-hmm. It becomes almost a job. Well, it pretty much is a job for you. So, but that's you get paid. Well, you get to go for free. So, doing a job that you love is going to be super awesome.
What is your height and weight? I don't like to take it off of the internet because I don't know where people are getting that from. So
Yeah,
I'd like to ask the
it's
people.
sometimes a little off, but it's about well, you want it with shoes or without shoes?
Both.
Okay, so with shoes, I'd say I'm about 6'1", maybe a little more, and then I'm 195, and without shoes, I'm about 6 foot on the higher end of 6 foot. So
You'll be playing with shoes though, so that will be the height
that's
we'll
what
go
I'm
with.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Where do you fit in the Iowa defense? Obviously, just an outstanding history there with Norm Parker, then Phil Parker. Where do you see yourself fitting? I kind of see you, before you answer, I see you as potentially a cash, potentially a linebacker, potentially a safety. It seems like you have some options.
Yeah. Well, my brother, before I answer this question, my brother ended up growing. He was 6'2" in high school. He ended up growing 2 or 3 inches in college.
Wow.
So if I grow, actually, yeah, the linebacker spots there, obviously. I think a lot of guys in this class can play a lot of different positions. They just kind of recruit us all as athletes, and they'll fix us in where they see is best. But yeah, I think I can play what you kind of said, cash and linebacker and safety. I'm pretty good over the top and reading the defense or reading the offense. But so yeah, I fit in, I think, pretty well with the Iowa defense.
What was your recruiting process like? It's not like a lot of I would imagine there probably more in recent years with you and Reese and other guys, more college coaches coming through, but I wouldn't say it's a destination for a lot of college coaches. Certain, not just Central Lyon or Little Rock, but places around Iowa. It's just not a lot of traffic comes through there. What was your recruiting process like?
Well, I mean, it kind of started off a little slow. My sophomore year, Iowa was pretty much the first team to reach out. They kind of Ferentz kind of sent something in the mail, and he kind of sent stuff to my coaches that he was watching because we made the championship that year. So it kind of started out with them, and then later on, SDSU and USD and all those FCS schools kind of started coming in and visiting a bunch. And junior year is when it kind of ramped up a little bit, I'd say. I think it was basketball season. SDSU came and watched a practice, and during that practice, he came down and stopped practice and came down and offered me. So that was pretty cool. And then USD got on the phone a few days later and offered me as well. And then it kind of slowed down after that. It was kind of bad. I was focusing on basketball, getting that done. And right after we won the championship, or not won, we lost in the championship. It kind of picked up again. I was getting the junior day invites and all that, what happens in the spring. And Iowa kind of ramped up again the interest and started talking to me more. And then I think it was Coach Woods. He came to a few track things that I had. And then they brought Coach Wallace. He was visiting another recruit from Northwest Iowa. He came to school and put Coach Ferentz on the phone, and then that's how they offered me. So it was pretty cool. And then right after that, I pretty much knew where I wanted to go. There's not much more that I needed. A lot of people like to wait and see what they can get, but I think right there, I knew what I wanted. And then the next day I talked it over with my family that night. And the next day I just figured that it was best for me to do that. And here we are.
What was it about Iowa? Because I know there are guys that maybe look at Iowa and say, oh, it's Big Ten, it's Power Five, I've got to take that offer. But some guys go different directions. Maybe it's, SDSU is a great program. We saw that when they came to Kinnick this past year. But you had options. What was it about Iowa that stood out?
I'd say the biggest thing is the stability with the coaches. A lot of them have been through that program, and a lot of them have been there for a really long time. So that's probably one of the biggest things. And then just the culture, and then for them to produce guys that make the NFL and succeed in the NFL is the biggest thing. And the defense has obviously always had a resume that anybody wants to play with. So that's probably the biggest three things that I'd say.
Cool. Yeah, the stability, I think, is a big one for a lot of folks, especially with how much movement there is in college sports with coaches and things like that. You want to know who you're going to play for.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's take a little break here. I want to do a read, and then we will go into a break, and then we'll come back and have some more conversation with Zach here. Let folks know that support for the podcast comes from Systems Unlimited, celebrating 50 years of providing services to people living with disabilities and mental health needs throughout East Central Iowa. A list of their services and upcoming events can be found at sui.org. Let's hear from a few more sponsors, and Zach and I will be back on the other side. And we are back. Thanks for hanging in there. I am joined by Zach Lutmer from Central Lyon Little Rock. When you did commit, at that point, did you start to want to help bring this class together? Because it seems like you guys have gotten close through the process.
Yeah, we got a group chat on Snapchat, and we're always texting each other in that group chat. We text each other in that group chat of who was the next big prospect that we wanted to get. And so then we would always reach out to them on Instagram or Snapchat if we had theirs. And we'd text them and get to know them a little bit and tell them what it's like once you commit and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the biggest thing was just shaping the class and helping get guys that wanted to be there.
When you think about it and you're like, because I'm sure in your mind, does this guy fit with us? Does this guy fit with the program? What in your mind defines an Iowa Hawkeye?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is hard work. I went to a few of their practices and their coaches, obviously they're going to get after you a little bit. So you always got to be working hard or you're going to get your butt chewed out. And once you get your butt chewed out, you can't be one that sulks and sits there. You got to take it and go on to the next.
What is your time going to be like from now until June when you get here? How can you, I know you have track, but how can you kind of incorporate some football development in here as well? And I know track and football complement each other?
Yeah, well, I think at the beginning of May, I'm going to start doing some backpedaling and some drills like that just to get back into the form of doing that sort of thing, those sort of things. And then, yeah, obviously June's going to hit hard and we're going to have to start waking up early. But the weightlifting, I think will take care of itself. You know, they gave us a program. I've been doing all those lifts and those have been really helping. So, yeah.
What's your approach, Zach, when you get here? I mean, do you put goals in your head for the first year? Do you come in and just kind of, go with the flow? What's your approach?
Well, I've always been told like once you get to that level, obviously everyone's there for a reason. Everyone's the big fish. There's no big fish in a small pond anymore because the pond's bigger. So everyone's just a small fish going around. And I'd say the first goal that I have is to develop the way that they want me to develop the first year. Obviously, I want to see the field and all that, but development is the biggest thing. I need to have my body needs to be right and all those sort of things that go into it. But hopefully I can get in on special teams in a few games and keep that redshirt year.
What on the academic side of things? What's your plan there, and how important are academics to this whole deal?
Yeah, academics are super important. I plan on graduating. Obviously, I'm gonna major in exercise science, so I can do plenty of different things with that. I can become a strength and conditioning coach out of that. I can enter into the PT program because Iowa has the PT program there. I can, if I decide I wanted to coach after, I could do that. Yeah, there's plenty of different things that I could do out of that. So I think that's the best major for me, and I see myself wanting to stay around sports after college. So exercise science is probably the most successful major that I'd see.
Did you grow up a Hawkeye fan?
I did not. I grew up the opposite. I grew up a Minnesota fan, and I'm in Iowa. I grew up a Minnesota fan. My dad is from Minnesota, so
okay,
it's kind of just family. So
did they show you any love in recruiting?
Well, right after I committed, they texted me and asked if I was still committed, and I'm one of those people that once I commit, I'm fully 100% committed. I'm not going to back out. So, yeah.
Where were you guys at before? Is what you said. Where were you guys at when I didn't have another Power 5 offer?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Exactly.
What when you get in here in the summer, what is going to be like the first thing you want to accomplish? Your way around campus? Are you taking classes in the summer? How are you going to start this thing?
Well, I think we do take summer classes just to get us off and going, so that when the first week the first week of school comes around, we're not like all scattered and don't know what we're doing. So I think that's gonna be one of the first things that we do. But yeah, a thing I want to accomplish this summer is probably just getting my body in shape and getting healthy and doing all the stuff that they want me to do, pretty much.
How big of a deal is this for you in your hometown and for people to, younger kids, people that, look up to you, see you, what Reese is doing? It probably gives them, hope and motivation.
Yeah. The city of Rock Rapids is pretty small. So when a kid goes Division I or as high as this, it's a big deal to everyone. The kids always look up to all the high schoolers, and for us to win 2 state championships this year is really, really big for them. They were coming around, they got a bunch of posters and we autographed them. We're like their biggest heroes. So to be someone's hero like that is super special to me, for sure.
How much do you attribute to your community for raising you guys to be able to do this and being able to succeed like this?
Yeah, the community is super important. They supported us like through everything. We were really bad in basketball about, I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, just about when I was in middle school, and community saw that we had a decent grade coming up, and from that point on, they just kind of started supporting us. We started getting a bunch of money from football. So we have this like touchdown or quarterback club where the community donates to the football program, and that allows us to meals after the games or go to football camps and that sort of thing. So for them to rally behind us is super important for a community this small too.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, we're going to take one more break here, hear from a few more of our sponsors, and we're going to get to know a little bit about Zach off of the field when we come back. Hang in there. And we are back here on the Hawk Fanatic Prospect Podcast. Going to wrap up with some fun questions for our guest, Zach Lutmer. What is it that you talk about being a four-sport athlete? You don't have a lot of downtime, but when you do get downtime, what do you like to do?
Oh, shoot. I like to hang with my friends a lot. Rock Rapids is pretty small, so we usually play video games with each other. I do have a girlfriend. Her a little bit, but we split it between hanging with our friends and all that sort of stuff. So, Rock Rapids is pretty fun when you make it fun.
How many stoplights?
I think there's like 3 or 4.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Maybe that's how they
nice.
That's how they should do the classes in Iowa. Like the 5A, you have a certain amount of stoplights. That's how they should do it.
That's what I'm thinking.
What video games do you guys enjoy playing?
Oh, we play Madden. We play NBA 2K. And we play Call of Duty. So a little different variation between those, but
what do you play for Madden and 2K?
Well, I just got a PS5, so I got the new version of both those games, and I've been playing them quite a bit recently. So when I'm resting, probably playing video games, hanging with my friends, doing that sort of thing. So,
what's the go-to food for you guys? Is there a restaurant in Rock Rapids that you want to shout out? Is there a meal your mom makes that you may want to do multiple ones here, not so you don't offend anybody?
Well, my mom's not the best cooker, so when we had Coach Woods at for a home visit. We told them we were making homemade lasagna. Little did he know we got Stouffer's lasagna and put that baby in the oven, and that was pretty good. But we told him after Stouffer's, and he was like, "Oh, that's my favorite." So that was pretty good. And I'd say the best restaurant is probably a place called AJ's or Union Jack's. We got some pretty good food there. A lot of burgers, a lot of steak, hot dogs. Good variation.
You a meat and potatoes guy?
Yeah, I love potatoes.
Yeah,
those are really good.
What do you do if you're wanting to watch something on TV or, Netflix or movies or things like that? Do you have a genre or a certain type of program you like?
I'd say, well, I'm always watching either college basketball or NBA, or like obviously when the NFL's on, I watch that, or college football. But the Netflix shows that I watch are usually ones that I see that people are the number one on Netflix. So right. I usually get it from other people, but they're pretty good though. So
what's your family like? You come from a big family. How close are you guys? How stoked is your family that you're going to be playing at Iowa? All of those things.
Well, I got my mom and dad live with me. My brother and sister are out of the house. They're like 8 years older than me, so they're twins.
Oh, okay.
Twins, actually. Yeah. My sister lives in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My brother's in Sioux City. So not too far away. So they're always coming up to all the sporting events that I'm in, and always giving me an extra motivation. My brother, I'll give a shout out to my brother because last week he said, "Why don't you ever shout me out on your interviews?" And I said, "Well, they don't ask about you that much." So I'll give a big shout out to my brother. He did do a lot for me when I was younger. He always was playing sports with me, that sort of stuff. Obviously, my dad was too. He used to coach every sport. So, um, yeah, we're super close. Always texting each other in our family group chat, stuff like that. My uncles and aunts and grandma and grandpa are super close too. My uncles are always texting me before our game, giving me a scouting report, doing stuff like that. So it's nice to have family like that.
Yeah, that's awesome to have that type of support. And I'm sure that, like the community that helped you, yeah, I'm sure you are really
Mhm.
thankful for your family
Yeah.
being able to support you and get you where you are today.
Yeah. Super thankful.
All right, Zach. Well, I kept you longer than I said I was going to, and we got some good stuff in there. So I appreciate you taking some time for us. Anything you want to say to the Hawkeye fans before we sign off?
Oh, all I got to say is go Hawks.